Hello lovelies, and welcome to my channel, and welcome back if you are returning. Now today I really wanted to do an Imbolc video. So we're just coming up now, we're a few days away from Imbolc, which is the 1st and the 2nd of February, and for me it's quite an important Sabbath because I work with Bridgid. She's one of my key deities that I work with. So I always have really big plans, big extravagant plans around Imbolc. This January there's been stuff going on, let's just say, and I have very little energy, and it got me thinking about all the plans that I'd made for Imbolc and how I'm not getting to them. And I know I'm not the only witch out there that has big plans and then life or energy or demands get in the way. So if you are time poor or exhausted and low on energy, then this is going to be the video for you, because we're thinking about witchcraft with spoons today. So that idea of spoons being how many spoons of energy you've got to dish out in the day. You only get a limited amount of spoons, and when your spoons have gone, they've gone. Some people start off with a ton of spoons. Some people, like me and my daughter, I am a full-time carer of my daughter who's disabled. Both of us in the world of disability have a lot fewer spoons than others starting point, so that will affect your witchcraft. How many spoons do you have? How much energy can you give? Other demands will take away spoons. It takes away time. All of this will impact your practice. So today, this is Imbolc for the exhausted witch. The biggest tip for me for this, if you're exhausted or have fewer spoons at any given point of the year in any Sabbath, the biggest tip that I can give is to put your magic into the everyday. The things that you've got to do anyway. You have to get dressed, unless you're living on some remote island somewhere, then you do you. You have to stay clean. You have to eat and drink. You have to unfortunately do laundry and housework. So let's look at the things we're doing anyway that are going to demand your spoons up front, and let's see where we can celebrate Imbolc in those areas. So getting dressed, firstly you can wear the sabbat as an honouring to the season or to any deity you might be working with. So I am going to start wearing my turquoise crystal necklace through the sabbat again. Turquoise is a brilliant crystal for the sabbat. If you get one of these little cage necklaces, you can swap out the crystal every sabbat, and there you are, you're already well and truly grounded in your practice. Or you might want to look through your jewellery or watches or your perfumes or your body oils to find scents and shapes and colours that also signify the season that you can wear on you or put on your skin. I found this beautiful, fragile, flimsy little shell necklace that has got what for me signifies spring flowers coming to life on there, and the fact that it looks like a sun as well. For me, that's a lovely representation of spring returning, so I'm going to be wearing this necklace as well, and any necklace I decide to wear in that season will go on my charging crystal block here on my altar. So wear jewelry and oils and things like that on your skin. You can choose clothes that remind you of the season. It might just be a certain colour you decide to wear, and please don't get caught up in all of the posts telling you have to wear this colour for this sabbat. It's your practice. If there is a colour that is significant for you and your life story around this time of year, even if it's not normally classed as an Imbolc colour, it doesn't matter, wear it. For me, I have accessorised the season as well. I've got this lovely snowdrop tote bag which I have picked out to use. I used it at the end of last month and I'm using it this month as well. The snowdrops are some of the first flowers to come in Imbolc, so I'm carrying my practice with me every time I pick this bag up. So Imbolc and Bridgid, it's about milk. It's linked to calves and it's linked to lambs as well. Any dairy products, anytime you pour milk into your tea or coffee or make a milky hot chocolate, all of that can be stirred with intent anytime you pick up milk and use it. So for me, I don't drink a lot of milk, but I have been loving this tea, and this is my favourite fruit tea, apple and cinnamon. And the cinnamon is brilliant because Bridgid, who is the goddess that is linked to this season, is a fire goddess. She's goddess of smithcraft. Her key areas are healing, creativity and poetry, and smithcraft. So with the smithcraft element, anything spicy, anything fiery. So the cinnamon in this tea is absolutely brilliant. If you're really exhausted, why don't you order some takeaways, some hot curries, some spicy food takeaways, so that you don't have to cook, and then light candles. Sounds like a fantastic night. Sounds like a night that takes away jobs from you, but you can do it all with the intent to honour the season and Bridgid. Curry and candle night, witchcraft doesn't get any better than that. She's also linked to water and holy wells, so you could buy some special mineral water to drink or create beautiful jugs full of water with lemon slices, the lemon to represent the sun returning. You drink water anyway. How about making a celebration jug of water for the season? Also, the mugs and the cups and the plates that you choose, you could choose yellow mugs to represent the sun. You can see here that I am using a Little Miss Sunshine mug, and that's in honour of Bridgid for the season. Little Miss Sunshine, honouring the return of spring just around the corner after the darkest of the dark night. We are heading towards the light, and using this mug is a celebration of that. And there are lots of plates and mugs in charity shops that you can find and collect. You just need one for each Sabbat if you want a really easy way to ring the changes for the turning of the wheel. Plates of different colours, plates with different plants on, plates with spring flowers on for Imbolc. It's all a beautiful and easy way when you have no energy to still stay connected in celebration for the turning of the wheel. Then the dreaded one, housework, the home. Imbolc is very much linked to cleansing. We're saying goodbye to the darkness, we're letting go of the old, and we're bringing in the new, we're welcoming in light. So of course in the house that's linked to spring cleaning. But if you've got no energy, the thought of spring cleaning is absolutely horrific. It makes me sometimes want to sit down and cry. So if you still really want to spring clean, then don't do the whole house, do one room. Here, this is my conservatory, and it gets freezing in the winter, and I chuck things in it to clear space for Christmas decorations, and the room gets abandoned. And normally by January I'm beginning to think, oh my goodness, what on earth has happened to this room? So I've used this room as the single focus for Imbolc for spring cleaning. So pick one room, pick one job, pick one cupboard and use that as your spring cleaning. Also everyday jobs like dishwashers or the washing machine with the laundry, the things that we're constantly doing. You can bring that idea of letting go of the old and welcoming in the new really easily with, say, the dishwasher or the washing machine. You load in the old, the dirty, representing the dark nights. You bring out the fresh and the new. Literally every time you fill or empty the dishwasher or the washing machine, you can say a little thanks to the season and stay connected. But if you're really working with no spoons at all, I think my best advice is to get rid of the word clean in the phrase spring clean. Replace it with the word cleanse, because it's more about cleansing not only the home but you as well, cleansing to make way energetically for the new. So rather than cleaning, think about energetic cleaning. For me, I love to use sound for this, and just walking around the house shaking the bell. I can manage that even with no spoons. Of course, smoke cleansing as well, if you like smoke cleansing, is brilliant because it does bring in that element of fire. So just lighting incense sticks in every room, walking them to the corners, opening up the windows and letting in the new, you've cleansed the house really simply and really easily and honoured the season. So we touched there on cleansing you as well, and we're into self-care, that idea of we need to stay clean, we need to brush our teeth, we need to shower. So that is another brilliant way of bringing the magic of Imbolc into the season when you have no spoons of energy to give. Stand in the shower and imagine all the old things you want to let go of, you need to cleanse yourself of, let them wash down the drain. The same with a bath. Throw some lemon circles as well into the bath again, representing the sun, and have a citrusy bath as well. Relax and then watch that water fade away. Also, what you put on your skin, if you can imagine, say, body oil renewing the skin, like the sun coming back and renewing the earth. Bridgid is very much an earth goddess. She is the spirit of the land. You can imagine your body as a landscape, and every time you do something nice for it, you are honouring the season and replenishing. The idea of cleansing and replenishing, it's very much inherent in this season. So those are some ideas just for some very easy, simple magic in the everyday, in things that you are doing anyway. They're not add-ons, they're things that you are doing anyway. And if you just incorporated a few of those, I think you would feel very grounded and covered in the Sabbat. And that's what we want as witches. We want to feel connected to this bigger wheel, and you haven't added anything extra in there. So magic in the everyday really is key, and that energy of the wheel that we want to seep ourselves in, it's a turning wheel. Don't forget it. We don't jump from one place to another. It's a slow turn. So anything that you had out for Yule can also apply in a gentle turn into Imbolc. You don't have to throw away all of the Yule stuff and start again. When I first started Witchcraft, I used to do this. I used to think, like, Yule's done, put it all away, now let's do something totally different. But it isn't. It is a slow turn, and I think that idea of a gentler turn into the season is helpful no matter where we are in the year. So it's not a complete start again with everything in your witchcraft. It's a gentle, slow turn. We see this in nature. We're still in winter, really, where nature is still hibernating. The weather is warming up. I can feel spring in the air, but we're still in winter. And I think sometimes with the new year and all our goal setting and New Year's resolutions, we're very prompted by that New Year change to jump into action. And I've got to admit, I do love to jump into action with new goals. But really, if we take our cues from nature, we need to have a gentle start, really. And I think this brings us to another way you can celebrate Imbolc, incorporating that gentle start that mirrors nature. So you can think more of planning and not doing. I think planning mirrors the energy of the wheel and this season a lot more than racing into doing. It's a much softer and kinder and slower ask of yourself, which really lends itself to fewer spoons. So if you're thinking about planning, you could still be journaling about your goals. You don't have to have started on them, or say you started on them and you fell off them already, which a lot of people do. Then just go back to journaling about them. Journal and plan and dream and envisage. That's a lovely way to honour this time of the year. It's a lot more gentle. We're planning for the days when it's easier to do, our spring days, our warmer days, our lighter days, but we're not quite there yet. So journal, dream, carry on journaling about goals. It's a nice time, I think, to work out all the little steps that it's going to take to get to your goal. So do step journaling for goals. Also planning for things like the garden. If I had more time and more energy this month, I would already be out in the garden doing jobs, clearing. The garden would be a lot further on, but I don't have the energy at the moment. So what I have done, I've got my seeds out, my seed boxes, and I'm beginning to just flick through those, see what I've got, see which seeds can be planted early in February time, which is really kind of the earliest that you can plant most seeds. So I'm sorting out what I've already got. I'm looking through seed catalogues to plan ahead. I'm not out in the garden already doing, I'm still planning. Now in my head I envisaged being in the garden, building water features and wells for Bridgid, building garden altars. I had all these big plans, but I don't have the spoons. So for now we'll stick to seed planning, and that's fine. And then look to your gentle hobbies, the things that you love. Within those things that you love, there are ways to celebrate Imbolc. So if you're a reader, that's a really soft, gentle activity. You could be reading books around Imbolc. You could be doing what I'm doing here. I'm rereading this amazing book all about Bridgid, which will be my third reread, and I love it. Don't ever worry about rereading books, whether they be fiction or non-fiction, because the book's the same, but you are different. You're in a different space, so something new will always jump out. So reread your favourite books, see what jumps out. And if you want some ideas for books around the season, then on YouTube there are loads of booktubers doing videos about books for spring, books to do with spring, books for welcoming in the light. Get some ideas from those. Of course, most people here are into tarot. Tarot is a beautiful, gentle pastime that we can also implement in this season. And again, just like BookTube, TarotTube is full of videos about spring decks. I googled it here and look, mine came up first. Even I've got one about spring decks, but you could just sit and watch these videos and have that viewing time as a celebration of Imbolc. You could sort your own decks and find your own decks that feel more like springtime and less like winter. So use your gentle hobbies to plan around. I know that I'm really having a nice time at the minute planning out my reading for the year. I've planned out 10 core decks I want to work with this year. So plan your practice, which means that you don't have to jump straight into doing at this time of the year. Look at nature. Nature isn't jumping into flowering yet. Another calm, gentle pastime is meditation. Even if you don't have a meditation practice that's every day, you can do the occasional meditation, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed and exhausted. It's a really beautiful thing to do. And to really link your meditation to the Sabbat, then how about finding some pictures of Bridgid or pictures of the landscape at this time of year and doing some pathworking meditation into the image to see what Bridgid might have to say to you, to see any planning ideas that might evolve out of that meditation. I think pathworking meditation is the most incredible witchy practice, and it can be done linked directly to the season. Now for me this year, I finally got round to drawing an image of the vision that I had of Bridgid before I even knew who Bridgid was, and I turned this drawing into a grimoire page, and there is a whole video coming on this. And I actually created on that grimoire page an Imbolc island to visit in pathworking meditation to go and commune with Bridgid. So I have my very own image this year, but you don't have to draw your own. You could use Bridgid cards, you could use a piece of artwork, you could use your phone and saved images on Pinterest on your phone to put in front of you. And of course you can use tarot cards, any tarot cards that particularly speak of this time in the season to pathwork into. Put a tarot card in front of you, set your timer, put some beautiful music on and meditate into that card to see what Imbolc has in store for you that you might never have dreamt up in a million years. So with tarot, of course, you could have sorted out all the decks that feel like Imbolc to you, or you could have invented your own spreads. All of that I would have loved to have done, but I haven't done it because I don't have the spoons. So a gentler way of using tarot, if you've got no energy at this time of year, might be just that beautiful, gentle self-care practice of sitting, shuffling a deck at night, shuffling a deck, getting a deck down just to flick through it. I know that we all love to do that. It's less work and just more soft, gentle enjoyment of tarot. Now this week I had a brand new deck arrive, the Urban Tarot, which actually seems like the furthest you could possibly get from anything that might feel like Imbolc and green fields, the Urban Tarot. But I wanted to flick through this, so I started flicking through and I thought, I wonder if I can find any cards that feel like Bridgid or feel like the season. And you know, even in the Urban Tarot I found cards that spoke to me of Imbolc, and I laid them out and I felt like Bridgid had spoken to me. I felt like this was a Bridgid spread from Bridgid herself, because I went looking for her and I found her. So whatever deck you've got, flick through, see if you can find all of the images that feel to you like the Sabbat we're in, or feel like the nature outside of your window, which might be different from somebody else's window, and see if you can find a personalized spread just by flicking through the deck. Or here, like this deck. Now this deck I was using in Yule to work with the Dagda, but I know this deck has specific Celtic images linked to Imbolc, and I'm flicking through here trying to find the Bridgid card. So it might be that you have a tarot card or an oracle card that really signifies either the goddess or the god, or your own personal understanding of the Sabbat for you, that you can just put out on an altar as a way of honouring the season. You don't have to be reinventing the wheel, no pun intended. You don't need to be devising your own huge tarot spreads. You can do something as simple as those things with tarot. Now, a huge part of Imbolc is light, the light coming back. We have gone past the winter solstice, the days are getting longer, daylight is getting longer, and spring is just around the corner. I've got birds singing outside my window. It really does feel like winter is coming to a close, and you can replicate that yourself by putting on the lights, putting on fairy lights. Now in that spring cleansing that I was doing of my art studio conservatory, I decided to bring a desk into the warm of the lounge, and this is the little setup I made in January, and you can see I've put fairy lights on, and every single time I switch those fairy lights on, I give thanks to Bridgid. I've also got fairy lights, of course, on my altar upstairs. So put your fairy lights on. Go and get some Christmas lights back out of the loft and put those back up, or simply light candles. Now on my desk I've still got my Yule candles out, and this is a good example of how one season leads into another. These are cinnamon infused candles, and of course we spoke about the cinnamon before, about that fiery element of cinnamon. It's absolutely perfect to leave out for Bridgid. There's no need to swap it over. Also with lights, if you're thinking about that idea of spring cleaning, you've got no energy for it whatsoever. How about just getting a duster and going round and cleaning all your light switches in your house? I know my light switches often get really grubby and I don't think to clean them and I miss it. So go around and clean all your light switches as a celebration of Imbolc, and then every time you switch on a shiny clean light switch, you're in your practice right there. The next big thing about Sabbath changes is altars. What do you do with your altars? I've already said that I realise now that there is a much more gentle turn from one Sabbath to another. So I don't think I'm going to be throwing away the baby with the bathwater here. I think a lot of my Yule altars are going to just be tweaked. We're talking tweaking, not completely changing. So remember that with your altar work. Here's my altar work for Imbolc. So this is my reduced down Yule altar. The stag could actually stay out, but I don't think I'm going to leave it out. I am going to leave the pine cones, definitely the cinnamon, the acorn candles for the dagda, that might go, and those two dolls, I want one of them now. So with a bit of tweaking, here we go. Here is a really simple, very simple altar for Imbolc. I've just got that one doll representing spring. I've got a bridgid card out. I've still got my ancestor photographs up, but I've got some white flowers which are really representative of Imbolc. I've got white candles again with cinnamon in. I've put some swans out. I've also got a black feather, a nod to the Morrigan that brought Bridgid to me. I've got a little working there and a star candle holder. The star candle holder represents light even in the darkest nights, so I just like that idea of light with Bridgid and stars. And doesn't it look really beautiful? Inside on the shelves there are some little battery operated candles also shaped like stars, so don't worry, I'm not about to set my house on fire. But I love the fact that it's really simple to do. It didn't take any energy really. And this little working here, this could become an altar in its own right. If you really have no spoons, how about going to the shops and looking for, say, a swan card or another animal, something that makes you think of Imbolc. It could be a Bridgid card. There are loads of artists that draw Bridgid cards on Etsy. Just buy a card. In it you could write a love letter to Bridgid, or you could write your intent for the season to come. You could do a little spell in there, and then with a clear coaster on the top so you can still see through to the image, just light a tea light, and there you have it, a tiny little mini altar. Add a crystal. I've added an amethyst here and a heart rock, and that's enough. That could be an altar in its own right. Now the wreath that you saw was only £2. I saw it in a shop when I was buying the dogs food. Along with this was £1, and they were bought really as an emergency because I really wanted to crochet a big wreath with all spring flowers on. But for £3 I had a backup, and I really needed a backup. But look how beautiful and simple that looks. But downstairs in my art studio, this is my Bridgid altar really. Bridgid is all to do with creativity. I've got my Bridgid doll here which I intend to start sewing into. There's also added things like Tilly's pom-poms that she's made me. But this altar I made last year, and I just really wanted Bridgid on there and Frida Kahlo. So there are dolls on here representing different characters. I've got some tarot cards down in the studio. When the flowers come out I will put more daffodils on, and we've got a queen of creativity and the goddess of creativity. There is Bridgid with her swans and with the lambs and with bowls of healing milk and the flames again. You can see it all there. So that is another altar that is downstairs. So if you work with deity, gods or goddesses at all, Or if you're curious about deity, it might be this Imbolc. You look into Bridgid and what Bridgid's story is all about. I absolutely adore Bridgid. The Morrigan brought Bridgid to me, and there's a whole video about to be uploaded about this. And I know I've spoken about this on the channel before. So find out about Bridgid. That could be your practice over the couple of days of Imbolc. It might be you just go on Pinterest and make a Bridgid board as an honouring. If you have your own different gods and goddesses to work with at Imbolc, then don't feel like they're not relevant to this time of year. I think we can often get very stuck in the idea that there was one right way to follow the wheel of the year. There is one goddess you need to work with here, and then it changes here. There are different colours here, there are different colours here, there are different associations. And yes, it's lovely to know the reasoning behind some of those associations, but nothing's set in stone. At the end of the day, who's decided that? Who has the answers for something as spiritual as this? I think personal gnosis comes into play here. If you have different gods and goddesses that you want to do Imbolc things with, and you feel through your own personal gnosis and working with them that story resonates more, then go with it. You are the expert in your own practice. And for me this year, for this year's Imbolc, I decided to do a drawing of Bridgid. There is a longer video about to be uploaded of this work and the resulting grimoire page as well. But it just was really lovely to bring creativity to Bridgid, because she is so heavily linked to creativity. So the story behind this is coming. Also, that tarot card out that was in that deck, always to celebrate deity. And then when you've got no spoons at all, it's often in the tiny little touches. I'm looking around my desk here and I see tiny little touches that took no effort really, and yet they have put my desks, my working space, very much in touch with the energy of Imbolc. You can see I've got swan placeholder cards, which make really good tarot holders in the shape of swans. I've got a lava lamp that I keep putting on to bring in lights. Of course, the candles as well. And then if you possibly can, get outside, only if you can. I know this isn't possible for all people, and I have recently gone through another bout of being scared to go outside, so I do get that going outside isn't as easy for everybody, but try and go outside, even if it's just looking out the window and spot signs of the season changing. I can hear birds singing outside my window and it's glorious. I'm just about to open my windows up when I've finished filming to really listen, and that's one sign of the turning of the wheel that I've spotted right there. So get outside, go for a nature walk, spot signs of the wheel turning. So with this in mind, me and my daughter Tilly, we went down to our local lake. Tilly is doing the videoing here. She is wheelchair cam. I'm pushing her. We had a lovely time and we found some swans for Bridgid as well. We tried to count how many things we could see. That made us feel like spring was on its way. Well, and the swans down there. Do you want to show them?
But the swan?
There, in between the trees, the one's just got up there.
Where?
In between the trees there.
Where?
There.
Where?
Right at the front. See it just standing up. Thank you, Tilly. You really did a brilliant job of capturing some sights on our walk and being brilliant at filming. So guys, I hope that has been really useful. If you are a time poor, energy poor, spoon poor, exhausted witch, I hope that's giving you some ideas for Imbolc celebrations. We never need to put down our practice just because we've got no energy. After all, being a witch is who we are, not what we do. And if you just choose to sleep, catch up on sleep, go back to bed and think about the turning of the wheel, and that's all you've got energy for, that's good enough too. So regardless of how many spoons you've got, enjoy Imbolc, and I'll see you next time. Bye.